Wow. It spiked right up again. It's hovering at about 85 now.
That's weird.
Dropping down to 60. Oh, I don't know what to do about this. It's very frustrating. That's the thing with the live stuff. It is always, all right, you guys are back on the screen. It's always this big pain in the butt thing, you know? And it just makes you wonder if it's worth it.
Well, I mean, we don't, that's why I was bringing up that point earlier today. Like, we do it live, but we don't treat it as live. Like, we ignore the potential engagement, potential benefit of going live, and it's just like,
yeah,
you know, but watch something like, you know, TMS or, you know, I'm not thinking of like the new phase of live, like Friday Live, or like when I do my live stuff, or when Matt does his live stuff, but like podcasts,
a radio show style live.
Yeah, you know, I mean, TMS does a good job of interacting with their chat and everything. But there's other places that do it live. Like, I think, does NWA still do live?
I don't know.
Dusty Life does, I think. And it's just basically doing the show when people are listening in.
Yeah, the problem is
I think
it becomes
we're missing an opportunity if we continue to do that. So,
well, we have done it in the past, and it can be a distraction. It can be a problem. And then if you get too hung up on the live format, then things like this happen. You know, and you just wind up with technical problems. So,
right.
Either way, this is running now. It may cause problems for people. It may not. I don't know. But we're all on the screen. I'm teeny tiny. That's how I like to be. And you guys are massive, which I think is fine.
I am huge.
All right, let's do a show. Let's stop being
big and
too focused on this crap. All right, what's the show? 373, correct? Everybody got their question at the top there for me?
Yep.
I put mine up there.
All right.
I don't care what Matt did. I put mine there.
Screw that.
Matt's on his own.
Not my fault.
Screw that guy.
All right.
Screw you guys.
Screw you guys. What was that? Was that the DeVries thing? Was that a kickback or?
Say no, that's Eric Cartman.
As a voice, yeah, that was. Was it a voicemail question or kickback? I can't remember. I think it was he was a question, kickback with a question. So I'm just making sure I don't forget that I have it here.
I know not to what you speak.
All right, shut up, Dane. All right, let's do it. Hold on. It's always something, man.
Killing me.
I know. Imagine the few people who are actually in the chat room. All right. All right. So I guess for anyone who is actually listening or watching live, Shannon had a bright idea to take a question from the chat room later on. So feel free to ask questions, and maybe we'll just pick one later.
That way, if it goes wrong, they can blame me.
That's generally the plan. Okay. I feel woefully unprepared for some reason.
So it's like usual.
Yes.
Okay. The stream basically says it's the 10th anniversary show.
Oops.
Wood Talk is streaming live. 10th anniversary show. It was so good. We're doing it again.
So it's like
all
usual.
year long.
Yes. That's good. I like that. 10th anniversary. Don't a lot of companies do that? They like to celebrate it for the entire year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Get your money's worth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what we're doing here.
We have a joke. There's a guy at work who's been celebrating his 38th year for 5 years.
Okay, let's do a show. Shut up, you guys.
Welcome to Wood Talk. Now here are three guys who might stop by to ask for a cup of slab. Mark, Shannon, and Matt.
All right, it's Wood Talk number 373 for April 10th, 2017. On today's show, we're talking about vertical versus horizontal lumber storage, finishing uneven cherry, and being neighborly. I know a little something about that. I have cool neighbors now. It's kind of neat. It's like a novelty for me.
Upgrade.
Now,
I got a neighbor upgrade. And we just want to thank a few folks who helped us out over at Patreon, and that's patreon.com/woodtalk, I believe. And let's see, we have Christopher Carter and Kevin Bell. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate your support. And if you want to help us out too, go to patreon.com/woodtalk. Pick whichever level you want, and we will thank you right here on the show. Make you famous at the beginning of the show. So thank you for your support, everybody. We really appreciate it. And let's just jump right into what's on the bench. And for me, I think it's mostly house stuff lately. I was laying brick this weekend and mowing lawns and doing those things that like normal homeowners do in normal climates, you know. But it was weird. I don't think I have mowed a lawn in about 12 years. That's kind of crazy.
How did it feel?
It actually felt great.
Tell me about the mower you were using.
It was a Honda with
What?
that's
Honda?
It's not mine. It was my neighbor's. With like that, like I guess lawnmowers have come a little ways in 12 years, where a lot of them have that self-propelled action. I didn't know what I was dealing with, so I pushed the button and I'm like, whoa! It was like just about I had to keep up with it. So I was like, okay, this thing is pretty badass. I like
Taking you
this.
for a walk.
Yeah, exactly. So I had fun, man. I used to mow lawns constantly as a kid. That's how I earned all my money for like video games and stuff back in Jersey. So it's something I'm no stranger to. But man, when you have like 12 years away from it, you're like, oh, this is kind of crazy. But it felt good. I enjoyed it. So really enjoying the weather here. It's just gorgeous right now. Oh, by the way, it has nothing to do with any of this, but I was driving out to lunch today, and the neighbor across the street is getting some work done on the house, not her. But that phrase means different things, different places. So I keep hearing a saw, and it's a very familiar sounding saw. And then I drive past, and the guy stole my saw. I'm like, dude, no. I'm looking there, and the guy's got a whole Festool rig out in the driveway. And so this is like a local crafts person. He's got a Capex and an MFT sitting in the driveway. And I'm like, you know, it really is interesting. I know there are pros, obviously. That's kind of their target market. But how often do you actually see everyday craftspeople who are doing jobs on houses using Festool? I mean, I haven't seen it. And granted, I can't
Only
say
on Festool's YouTube channel.
Yes, everyone uses it on a job site. You know, but I think it's interesting, and I'm wondering from the audience. I mean, people who have had work done on their houses or renovations done. Have you ever
Or worked on themselves?
or worked on yourselves?
Did they use a Capex?
Honestly, I mean that
rhinoplasty.
that domino can be good for adding things. You know, getting a little more volume where you need it. So I would love to know from the audience, just out of curiosity.
Domino implant.
Yes.
Man, we were going pretty solid for a while, and then
It went off the rails right away.
how long did it take us to get to that point? I mean, that's pretty good.
Not very long. We're getting good at that. So I'm honestly curious. How often in the U.S. do you guys see people using Festool on the job? I would love to know.
And how often not in the U.S.? Because supposedly Festool is real big in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
I've heard
Is it all just lies?
it's all
Propaganda?
lies. It's Festool propaganda.
German propaganda.
Green Kool-Aid. I've actually heard from people who do live overseas who say that it is very common. So I've heard that multiple times. I don't know how true it is, but people have said that. So I don't know. But I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wanted to go talk to the guy. And he'd be like, dude, get out of here. I'm working. I'm not doing this for
Get
fun,
outta here, kid.
you
You
jerk.
bother
You do it for fun. I don't. I'm trying to make a living here. So anyway, woodworking wise, I'm just kind of in between projects right now. I've got the dining chair project started, but it's still kind of in a planning phase. Picking up lumber probably tomorrow, and we'll get started on that, which is why I shaved. So now I'm clean shaven. Well, as clean shaven as I get, so that my respirator works a little bit better.
Oh, I was going to say, what does shaving have to do with going in the lumberyard?
Well,
Trying to make a good impression or something?
yes.
Still
Hi.
trying to woo this lumberyard.
Hello,
You're
good
hoping-
sirs. I am here for some boards. No, it's basically wanting my respirator to work properly during the milling phases of the project. And honestly, I have noticed when my beard is thicker and I wear that respirator, I smell the dust more. I actually do smell the things I normally can't smell. So it's still got me thinking I'm going to have to go on this shaving and beard phase as the project just kind of progresses. But I do miss it. I miss not having the facial hair. What are you going to do? But Matt, you shave too. What's your excuse?
Well, I was gonna say for you, I want to see you commit so much that you just shave the areas where that respirator meets your face.
Yep.
So that's just the clean. Yeah, that would be the sickest beard thing ever.
So like a reverse goatee sort of thing, right? Like you basically.
No, you can still keep the goatee. You just have
Yeah.
to shave the lines where the mask contacts your face.
Oh, see, I was
Like,
thinking you
It's
just.
a perforated goatee.
I was thinking you just draw with a marker around it and shave everything on the inside of that. So you just
Or
have the
you could
beard.
just you could use like double stick tape and just tape it around so you get a good seal.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course, when you pull the tape off,
It's a nice waxing. basically.
Yeah. Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah. Good stuff. But that's it for me. What do you got going on, Matt?
I spent most of last week sick, or actually probably almost all of last week sick.
Really?
On the when we were doing the anniversary show, I was coming down with the flu.
Oh,
and like
man.
it was hitting me like really hard when we were doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like crap. And then like after the show, I went to bed.
Yeah.
So it was bad. And then like I was down for like Tuesday was terrible. Wednesday I started feeling a little better. I managed to get my shop update out. And then like Thursday I was bad again. Friday I was a little bit better. My parents were in town Wednesday through Sunday, so my dad was here. And I felt good enough on Friday to get outside and do something. So we stacked slabs or moved slabs around all day pretty much. Just
Nice.
getting my area behind the shed that's all like my drying area is all ready to go for the new stuff I've been cutting. It's been slaptastic. We brought this stack of slabs in here. So that's, one of those is gonna be my outfeed table. I don't know which one yet.
Okay.
One of them will be.
Nice.
When you say in
Important
here,
slab out.
what is in here? What is that room that you're in?
This is my basement.
Okay. That's cool.
It's a walkout basement, so it's pretty easy to get stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the slabbergasted storefront.
Boom.
Slabbergasted.
So these are in my kiln right now.
Right. Nice. That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Right on.
it was just good just to spend time with my dad. And what I wanted to mention today was it's kind of funny. Like when I was younger, I didn't have a whole lot in common with my dad, so like we didn't like talk a whole lot. It's like what do you talk about? But like now that I'm like a grown up or like an adult person or a bigger
Almost,
person or
sort
whatever,
of.
You'll outgrow that.
you know, it's like
You're like a big
now we
hairy
talk
baby.
about like grown up issues, like
Right.
grown up stuff. It's kind of fun.
You get parenting advice from your dad?
Not really a whole lot at this point. Most of it's like, this is how it was when you were a child. This is what we did.
It was a
Not
lot
so much
easier
like-
back then because we didn't care as much. Basically. That's what I gather from my parents.
This is basically the sequence of conversation. When I talk to my mom and then I talk to my brother, and I get both sides of the current feud because mom tried to tell my brother how to raise his kids, and yeah, it's not that
That's
way
never
anymore,
a-
Mom.
Not a good thing.
Well, when we were raising you, is this?
Right. Cool. Well, Shannon, what do you got going on?
I built a new tool rest for my lathe, one of those long 24-inch long things for turning legs. This is one of those things that I have wanted to do for like probably 6 years. It just never really, it was always like I was in a project when I could use it. I'm like, I don't really want to stop and do that and figure it out, because really I could make one out of wood. I've seen people who do it out of hard maple and everything, but I wanted to do it out of metal using the existing banjo thingies on my lathe. Just
banjo
get new
kazooies?
posts that slot into the existing, because there are two banjos on my my Barnes lathe. So kind of kept putting it off, and then I finally did it, and it was stupid because it took like an hour. You know, pull out the hacksaw, cut some steel rods to length, bored some holes through some angle, and screwed it all together.
Yeah.
Tapped it. I was really hoping I could get the new whisper taps so that I could ruin them in metal. See how that went.
Not for use
just-
in metal, please.
Yeah, just for, karmic synergy.
Yeah.
Get a wood tap and use it in metal for all the years I've been using metal taps in wood.
Yep. See? A little
And,
revenge.
Yeah, I mean, start to finish, probably including the trip to Home Depot. It was about an hour to do it. And man, what a huge difference. Like if you've got to create like a long taper on a leg or like a long flowing curve or whatever, the worst thing in the world is running to the end of that tool lathe or tool rest. And it's not a matter of having to keep moving the rest, but like if you're making planing cuts and things like that and trying to smooth out the cylinder, it's impossible to do it. Invariably, where you stopped and moved the tool rest, there will always be that little hiccup, and you got to go back over it, and then you end up with a little undulation. Yeah, it's just one of those things that like people who do a lot of like chair leg turning and things like that, they've had this forever. And yeah, now I understand why. It just makes it so much easier to do that. So there you go. Build a long tool rest.
Nice. Okay, so looking at the chat room, we do try to do this show live, sometimes more successfully than others. There's a couple of questions there, so we will take a question or two here or there, try to answer them quickly during the show. I think that'll be kind of fun. So this one I like. What was the last text you guys sent to each other? This is from Snowy Pirate 07.
Oh, God.
And actually, the last text
I think it
was
was all right.
do you want to do the show at 3:30? Yeah, sounds good. Should be able to. So
Yep,
not
that was
very
it.
exciting. Prior,
Sorry, you didn't get any meat on that one.
yeah. Now prior to that though, I think the last topic outside of woodworking, well, it actually is woodworking, but outside of preparation for the show, the last topic was Tommy Mack, and I just threw that into the what's new section because I think that's something we should probably mention, or maybe not. Maybe he doesn't want us to. So
Too bad. We're doing it anyway.
So if you've
He said it.
He did. He put it out there. If you go to any woodworking forum or public, discussion sort of place, you're probably going to see a post about this. So I think sometime on the weekend, Tommy put up something on Facebook that basically said, "I'm done with rough cut." And then he explained in the comments that it's just he's tired. He's been doing it for enough years. It requires a lot of him to pull that show off, and he's ready to move on to the next leg of his journey. But of course, speculation starts to go crazy, and it's the internet doing what the internet does.
Mark, why do you hate Matt so much?
Look at him. That's always my answer. Just look at him.
Just look at him.
Don't you just want to
So
smack him
easy to
around?
hate.
Smack him around a little bit? That's what I want to do. So actually, I did text Tommy and just, hey, is everything okay? And I mean, everything's fine. It really just comes down to him ready to do the next thing. And what that next thing is remains to be seen, but it should be interesting. I hear he's teaching classes out of his new shop. I'm sure content is going to be a part of what he does at some point in the future. So that should be exciting for fans of his work. And it's kind of interesting. But, anytime these big PBS shows come or go, it is kind of a big deal, because it's still TV. TV, as much as the internet has taken off as its own venue that is in many ways more valuable than TV. TV still has that sort of cachet with some people. So I think it still gets a lot of attention.
I think the real question will be, because TV is on the wane in a lot of areas, depending on who you talk to, with the whole kind of cord cutting movement and people turning to Netflix and Prime and Hulu and all that. Will it be replaced? Norm left, Tommy was there to fill the void. Roy's been renewed for I think another 3 years. Is
Scott
what's
Phillips.
his name? Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
He's still out there doing his thing, isn't he? My local Maryland Public Television doesn't carry woodworking shows at all, so I have no idea what's going on. But I just wonder, if they look at the market and go, what was the viewership like? Is it even worth finding a new host? I wonder if, because this is essentially, even though it's rough cut, it's, New Yankee Workshop Part 2. Basically, it's the same network, same everything, same producers even, I think.
Yeah, I think that WGBH being behind
right,
it.
it's the same local station, but anyway,
and
I
it's
just
following
wonder,
that format as well. I mean,
will it be replaced? Because if I were a programmer or a producer and I looked around at the landscape and said, all the stuff's on YouTube, why compete? I don't know. I guess it all comes down to if they can get the sponsors, they'll do it.
It's a tough call these days. I mean, do you think? I think somebody like Tommy, he's got enough name recognition. I think he could do some serious damage. I mean, good damage on the internet. I guess damage is just the wrong word,
I
and
think
that's
he could do some serious damage with
that scenario. I just feel like
Tommy's pretty ripped. Man.
Yeah, he is.
He can kick my butt.
I think he probably could do very well. I mean, if he made the right choices and tried to produce content online, I think he could do good. And I think also the other thing is, a lot of people, what makes him sometimes difficult to watch for people is he's definitely has a Boston abrasive personality, and he's shot out of a cannon just in his personality. And I think his actual regular personality, not, hey, there's a camera in my face and I've got producers watching me and that whole thing, when he's just being Tommy, the average guy, his early stuff, right, when he was doing the Bombay Secretary, can be incredibly entertaining. And he's a very interesting person to watch and, a hell of a craftsman. So I think if he captures that sort of his genuine personality, it could be good. It could be really good for him. It is funny, though, to watch how many people are giving him advice about getting into this thing called podcasting. And it's I wonder if people even know his history and know where he got started. It's because, granted, he had people helping him back then. It was a very different time. It was 2007, 2008. Very different time, but he has done that. It's not like he's totally unfamiliar to the guy, but some of the helpful comments are hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I wish him luck. I think you're right. He's got the skills. There's no reason why he can't do something really cool.
Skills to pay the bills.
it'll be nice to see somebody like that who's been, fettered by the chains of broadcast television.
Yeah.
Suddenly he has total freedom. It'd be kind of cool to see what happens.
It'd be interesting. So Jeremy Ridley in the chat room says that I look like Mini Mark and that the Silence the Whisperer campaign has probably succeeded.
Nice.
Because my little window is so tiny.
Man, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, you didn't have to do very much. I
Lasted for like, I don't know, a day.
I kind of facilitated that myself, I guess. Okay, so moving on to what's new here. Hey, Mark, Matt, and Shannon. This is from Austin. He says, just wanted to share a video that we made for Sons of Sawdust and Rigid. Thought you might enjoy it, and it's a Vimeo video. And everything about this is the Vimeo video that we describe.
yes.
Every couple of episodes, we seem to talk about the slow motion, the high frame rate video of like incredibly mundane things that just look awesome because they're filmed in slow motion, like the keys shaking in the ignition in the truck, and I love it. Like, here's the thing about it: it is a super high quality video. Like, the people who made this know what the heck they're doing, but it does fit that thing that we kind of make fun of, and I feel bad because I think it's really well done, but it's so overdone right now. That I watched this and I was just like, I love it. I think the people doing it are awesome, and the people who are the subject of the video are awesome. But I've seen this video 1,000 times, even though I'm watching this one for the first time. You know what I mean?
Oh, yep. I just loaded the wallpaper, just the thumbnail. I've seen it already.
Yeah. Well,
Started playing, but
it starts off with a sander on a very uneven surface, and it's like. And again, I don't want to be insulting because I appreciate Austin sending us the link. I'm sure the people involved in this project are great. But man, this is exactly the stereotypical thing that we have been talking about. And the problem is, I guess it's a good thing because it's beautiful.
And the soundtrack.
Yes. It's deep. Careful.
Yes.
It's so deep you might fall in.
That's awesome.
So anyway, I feel bad because I'm kind of being negative about it. It's just we've seen that so many times now that I can't appreciate it as much as I would have maybe 5 years ago.
I'm still gonna watch it.
No, dude, totally watch it. The message is fantastic. There are fantastic people in it, so don't take it for that. It's just, I don't know. You eat too much lobster, eventually you don't want lobster anymore, which is like unfathomable because it's delicious. Who doesn't love lobster? But if I had it every day, I don't want it anymore.
By the time I get to the end of a trip to Maine, I'm kind of done with it.
You're done with lobster. So. Exactly.
Yeah. Usually 2 or 3 days in.
Yeah.
My digestion can't
Well, we know how
that.
it is when you're at your second home and your tertiary home. All right. I think, Matt, you got the next one.
I do. If we're done talking about stereotypical woodworking videos.
Yeah, we're done crapping on someone's hard work.
But like a love crap, It's like
yeah, I love it.
Friendly love crap.
Exactly. It's a very good way to put it.
Maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, this is from Dan. It says, have you guys seen the new show that Nick Offerman and Amy Fuller are putting together? It's called The Handmade Project, and they'll be showcasing people making things by hand in a typical reality competition type show. Should be pretty great. They're looking for people to be on the show, so you should probably apply. Here's a link. It's a bit of a long application, so get some coffee or grape soda first. And it is stinking long.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I was seriously gonna put Mark in, like
as a joke, right?
And I was like, this would be the most most dedicated thing I've ever done in my life. Pull off this prank.
Yeah, that is a long way to go for a prank.
I was like, there's too much. There's like
Otherwise,
too many open-ended questions.
You'd actually have to answer them to get them to take it seriously. Yeah. You know what? Speaking of things that are tired, how about the reality show competition format?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's still there.
I mean, I love the fact that this is featuring Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler, the two incredible comedians who I'm a big fan of. But do we have to have another competition show? Can't they come up with something else? Like, honestly, those two are probably going to make this show watchable no matter what happens in it. But I just don't feel like these artificial constraints and things that are created, typical stuff that's done in a competition show, I'm so over it. Like, let's do something else. Come up with I'm sure they have better ideas. It's just a question, could they sell those better ideas to a TV network to get a show done like that?
I think they're being sold to Amazon original and Netflix original content.
Yeah,
that seems to be where the only original content is coming out of.
Shows that are making a little bit of a stretch. Yeah. It'll be, I mean, it'll be good. You got some, obviously a woodworker comedian. You really can't beat that. He's an incredible talent. Amy Poehler's just awesome in everything she does. So it'll be worth watching, but I just wish it wasn't a, competition thing.
That's like the one thing that makes me like absolutely not interested in doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Like-
you're put in these situations that like,
I would totally do it, but like watching like any of the other shows are like, here's these stupid constraints that are like I don't want to be in that situation. Like I personally I would not want to do that.
yeah.
Right.
That's why I would never apply for it myself.
Enter your worst enemy into the show because they're going to be put through the most unrealistic constraints. You're right. Yeah, build this piece of furniture in 5 minutes.
And you know what? I'm not good. Just knowing
No
myself,
pocket holes.
I'm not good under that
Pocket
kind of pressure. I mean, do you guys feel like you would perform well under this
hell no.
time
No,
material?
not a chance.
Okay, yeah,
I would curl up into the fetal position and cry.
yeah. I mean, you've got to be super
I would
creative.
hope I would lose the first day and be off the show.
Seriously. Yeah. It was an honor to be here.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Thank you. See you later. This was fun.
Okay, well we're
done.
we're 3 days into it, and Matt is still sawing his lumber. So, well, I need my slabs.
They're like, okay, here's your challenge. Ready, go. Matt's like, where's the forest?
Hold on.
The nearest copse of trees.
I'll get in my pickup truck. Go.
Okay, now I have to build a bandsaw mill. I know how to do that.
Any fallen trees around here? No. Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is a show I would watch.
Right.
Matt trying to rush a milling process. All right. Well, now I only have to wait a year for this to dry. So see you guys in a little while.
No, I'll blow on it. I got air out. Air flow.
Oh, he's dedicated, that one. All right.
All right. Well, this next one comes to us from Wade. He says, I saw this the other day on the news leading up to the Final Four. And that's basketball, folks, for those of you who don't know. And it's actually interesting because I came to this story from a different angle, working in the lumber industry. This has been kind of popping up on various industry news kind of aggregation websites. And it is the story of the basketball floor.
Oh, yes.
With the whole Final Four emblem and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a like a photographic journey from forest all the way out to the installation on the floor itself, which I had no idea. I mean, I guess you look at the floor and go, oh, wow, that's very cool. And you just kind of, you start to think about it and go, yeah, I guess somebody had to actually
Someone had to
build that
design
lumber
and put it together.
Install that floor. It's
Yeah.
not a decal. They didn't call sticker mule and just put it down over top of it.
We need a basketball floor.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, and it talks
It's a big
about the
printer.
number of hours, the number of jobs took to do it. It's a very visually attractive story to see.
Yeah, it is.
Everything, felling of trees to the pretty floor with sneaker scuff marks all over it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.
Stupid
Before we move on, Jeremy. Nope, I said that one already. Who is it? Ryan Renard wants to know who has the most childish humor between the
Mark.
three of us.
Yeah, I want to say Mark.
Probably me. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
Most of the time, Matt and I are trying to conduct business on text, and it's Mark that.
I'm just doing PP and poop jokes.
Yep.
Pretty much
There
all
you go.
day.
There's your humor right there.
I also make fun of other people in the online woodworking world, and the only two who get to hear it are these two. So, and you'll never know because it never goes outside of that circle. But I do like to make fun of people. It's
Yeah, mostly
true.
me.
yeah, it's usually me sending pictures of Matt of himself. Like, look at this, look at this idiot. All right. Okay, so we do have a quick kickback here from Mr. DeVries. Heard from him like twice in the anniversary show. Oh, hold on. I can't find it now. There it is. It was under the slabbergasted. Here we go.
I have two pieces of kickback for Shannon. One, talking about the geologging of the trees in the rainforest. You said something about that making them legal. So my question is, does that make them legal timber for all debts, public and private?
That was a joke.
And the second thing is, there was a campaign where people were collecting cell phones. These cell phones are to be used in the canopy of the rainforests. Had a separate program put in them to be sound activated, so that the sound of chainsaws, they would send an alert, then they could triangulate off from these phones that were in the canopy to try to catch poachers. I'm not sure if they're still working with that program or not, but That's something that they were trying to do to catch poachers out in the rainforest. Keep up the good work. Thanks, guys.
Poachers.
So the funny thing is I listened to that right before the show, and I just spent like a whole bunch of time Googling to try to figure out what Bob is actually asking, because I thought he said, is it legal tender? Both that's public and private. And he made a joke. He made a pun, legal timber. So yeah, I did all this research to figure out exactly what he could be asking. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, that went right over my head because I'm right there with you. I was like,
didn't
what?
get that he said timber, not tender. So
This is what happens.
well done, Bob.
Yeah, nicely done, Bob.
And the second one is a legit program. It was started by a nonprofit, non-governmental organization, an NGO, to collect the cell phones and just listen for illegal logging. I don't honestly know where that stands right now. It's been going on for a couple of years. I don't know if they like failed to catch anybody. I do know that there are many things in place to monitor illegal logging. Lots of flybys and flyovers over certain concessions, things like that, because now that there is so much regulation on, see, you can fell trees in the forest, but if you want to make money on them, you've got to take those logs out of the forest. And when you get to sawmills, and then when you get from mills, from logs to boards, there is so many checks and balances along the way that unless you can state where those logs came from, no one's going to touch them. No mill is going to touch them. So you could saw them into boards in the forest, but then you're wondering, well, where do these boards come from? Because there's so many checks and balances to show where this had to be sawn. So a lot of times the people that get caught are because something showed up downstream. That causes somebody to do a flyover in a specific area. They look at the lumber, they tend to figure out kind of where it came from, and then they do a flyover and they find them in the air. So I think they've had more success with that. But, you know, there's lots of stuff. The cell phone listening thing is just yet another program that's trying to control illegal logging.
Right. Cool. All right, got one here from Jason. He says, in regards to unplugging the saw when changing the blade, on my saw stop, there's a second power switch that can be shut off. So if you are one of those rare people with an extra growth on your leg, you could still prevent your growth from turning on the saw without unplugging. I'm sure SawStop isn't the only brand to have this. Honestly, from what I've seen, they might be the only brand to have that. Have you ever heard of another saw having like a secondary shut-off switch that
No,
other than a plug?
Turn off, like, mostly to turn off the electronics. That's the
Okay.
idea with that.
Gotcha.
So
Well, isn't it?
I've never seen on any other saw like that before.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. All right. Well, good to know. At least people that, who have saw stops.
I'm sure someone will
are
let us
fine.
know if there is another saw with a secondary power
I mean, any
switch.
other saw I've ever seen has an on-off button. Like an on-off switch, and that is it. And the plug is the only secondary power. Shen, you're up.
Oh, I'm not. Can't be. Can't be my turn.
Yep.
Where are
Your
we?
name's right there.
Kickback. Item number 3.
Oh, sorry.
Rob's long response
It's like
to.
scrolling down and scrolling down.
Yeah.
It's the stupid magic mouse thing that makes my the spreadsheets like jump crazily. I'm like, what? Where we go? So yeah, this is from Rob, and it's talking about the RF kilns. He says, I have not experienced a radio frequency kiln, but I have used a vacuum press 1000 to be exact.
Ooh.
Thank you,
Sold by
Shannon.
Ronco. And the people who brought you ShamWow brought you vacuum press 1000.
And a juicer.
Yeah. Well, it's
Wood
interesting
juice.
because this is similar. Instead of using RF, it uses cycled hot water. So if you hook a juicer up to it, you could use like cycled carrot juice instead of hot water. And that hot water runs through aluminum plates, and it basically sucks out all the moisture generated through the plates. But he said, I wanted to pass along my feedback since loading and unloading the kiln came onto my plate as a small custom furniture shop sawmill. The pros of it is the turnaround time. You could mill a log, let it air dry for a month, throw it in the kiln, and have flat dry material that was at 10% moisture, 2 to 3 month turnaround for 12 quarter material versus 1 to 2 years. Sure. Could say that. 1 to 2
Okay.
years is a bit of a stretch, I think, but sure. If you're just air drying it, I suppose. The cons are the kiln has a bunch of different setup plates where you stack a layer of material, then a plate, the material, et cetera, et cetera. They cover the whole thing with this membrane, I guess, for the vacuum, kind of like your vacuum bag type deal. The struggle came from the fact that everything on that layer had to be the same thickness. So there was a large deviation of more than a half inch. You could easily crack those pricey plates under the immense pressure. Oh, that's interesting. So just the stickers, if you will, those plates, didn't like unevenness. Since they were dealing primarily with live edge material, you'd be surprised at how difficult it is to get the best yield per layer. Yeah. Lots of straight line ripping was needed at various points to get things to fit. That's kind of what I was talking about last week, where if you have dead air in a kiln, it doesn't dry as effectively, because then you've got, this, first of all, you got to heat it higher to get everything, all that dead air to the same temperature, but you're also wasting space. And that ultimately is the biggest issue with the kilns, just space. Trying to get a bunch of lumber in there and then vacuum it all out. You get a really, really large space to create a vacuum chamber. You might as well work for NASA. It's the only other place that has really large chambers they can suck all the air out of.
Right.
So anyway, good to hear straight from the horse's mouth. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, what he said.
What I found interesting about that was like the radio frequency kilns. You don't put anything between the slabs at all, which is just cool.
Not necessary, because the whole thing
it
penetrates 100%, so it doesn't really matter. You could put a giant, one giant hunk of wood in there that filled the entire kiln, or you can just dead stack everything through, because there's no air exchange like there is in a normal kiln. It's all through radio frequency.
Well, it sounds like like vacuum therm, whatever thing was called, did it come before the radio frequency kilns were out? Because it almost seems like the radio frequency kilns like solved all of the issues with the vacuum kiln, at least what that was described here. The plates.
I mean, this does seem a lot more cumbersome than the RF kiln. So I don't know. I don't know the timeline there. I would imagine this is a precursor to the RF kiln. Who knows?
Some thoughts for you all today. Enjoy.
Today's thought of the day.
Deep
thought
thought by me.
All right, this one is from Brian. It says, woodworking can be such a rabbit hole to the point of paralysis. You can waste a weekend over learning how to sharpen or build your own plywood cyclone. What I love most about Wood Talk and your websites is that it brings me back to the common sense basics. You inspire me to get back to worrying about building projects and furniture, not overanalyzing every detail. Thank you for common sense.
Don't you feel like someone else might write that same email and say exactly the opposite?
Yes.
Like, you guys focus too
More
much
often
on
than
minutia, and you spend too much money on tools, and who can afford to have, a giant bandsaw mill in their backyard? Like,
I haven't heard that one yet.
No, I'm going to send that email in when we're done here. But I almost feel like someone could view that from a slightly different angle and criticize us of being part of the problem. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't care. I'm always going to reference this one.
This is the one we believe. We choose to align with Brian's thinking here. I like that. Good stuff. All right. Well, I think it's about that time again. You know what time? My favorite time. Everybody's favorite time.
Shannon's Lumber Industry Update.
I was like, oh, it's a little bit longer this time.
No, it's like 27 seconds long, and every time you listen to it, it feels like it gets longer.
Oh, I failed. I tried to go for the low A flat and failed. Can't do it anymore.
You suck.
I've gotten old. Low C is as low as I can do. Sorry, people. So yeah, we're talking about lumber. Did you know that southern yellow pine is in trouble? It's in trouble because of the southern pine beetle devastating our forests. Alabama is expected to lose $11 billion in southern yellow pine stock because of the southern pine beetle. That little dirty rotten bastard.
Jeez.
He's taking them all. If you're not aware, all the pressure treated lumber out there, that's southern yellow pine. So there's a mass scramble to try to figure out, we're making construction lumber out of southern pine, we're making treated lumber out of southern yellow pine. And as I talked about a couple of weeks ago, with the softwood tariff causing Canadian softwood, which is one of the largest producers of softwood in the world, all that stuff's going to go up dramatically in price with, proposed softwood tariffs. So there's a lot of people wondering what the heck is going on. What is the deal?
What's the deal
with
what?
softwoods?
With softwoods.
Well, what's going to end up happening is there's a lot of higher end softwood products, like clear vertical grain stuff that's used for like siding and like appearance grade type things. We're going to start to see that fall out in favor of really construction lumber, because you got to have studs to build the buildings. You know what you're using, there's more options for the siding and things. So we're starting to see some of that CVG stuff fall away in the more traditional domestic species, which has it has left a void in the prime softwood material, in which Siberian larch is now coming in to fill the void. So that's it, people. Red Dawn, the Russians are here. Larch is taking hold in the US, and it's actually a really awesome product. I'm trying to put a positive spin on this as best I can, as forests are being devastated all across the southern United States.
Yeah.
There is a Russian product, Siberian larch. If you're not aware, Russia's quite large. Siberia is huge, and it is filled with boreal forests. Lots and lots and lots and lots of old growth softwood. And larch is very similar to fir in appearance, but it's like 100% clear. Now, I'm sure that that's what we're seeing is 100% clear because there's so much of it. But it is really beautiful stuff. And it started to filter into the clear vertical grain stuff that we're seeing. It started filtering into the timber market as well, just because there seems to be so much of it, and it's available in just about, if you want big timbers, great, here you go. You want CVG stuff, great, here you go. And what's crazy is it's really affordable. It's actually coming in lower than some of the price points of the domestically sourced softwoods. So there's lots of economics and politics and stuff in place here that all kind of point to, ooh, that's not sustainable. But for now, it's a brand new product that really is I'm very impressed with it. I've had some chance to play around with it. We've had a couple guys come to the yard and do presentations on it. And I think we're going to start to make a move into it. We're certainly not the first. So you might start to see larch showing up in your softwood stores now. Good stuff.
Wasn't that the butler in the Addams Family?
Yes. Yeah. Siberian larch.
This is where Matt goes, what's the Addams Family? Never heard of
That
it.
one I do know.
Okay, good. That was before all of our times, frankly. That's a whole different generation. Okay, let's see. So I've got a voicemail here, and I didn't actually listen to this one, but it's from Diami. So I know he's probably not going to curse or say anything funny. So, I mean, he might be funny, but like bad funny. You know what I mean?
He's not going to say anything.
I just insinuated that he doesn't say anything funny.
That it's not going to be entertaining at all.
It's Diami. He doesn't know how to be funny. You know what I mean. All right. I guess there's a belated congrats.
Hi, guys. This is Diami from the Modern Woodworkers Association. And I know I'm a little early here, but I just wanted to wish you congrats on 11 great years of podcasting. Keep it up. I enjoy listening every week.
Okay. See, it wasn't funny at all. I told you. So that's Diami. They have a great podcast over there at modernwoodworkersassociation.com. It's where you can actually find out about the association as well as the show. Looks like last episode they had Freddie Roman on, which is pretty cool. Nice. Tim Sway before that. So they actually get some...
He's going to start a podcast.
Cool dudes there.
He keeps talking about it.
Who? Freddie Roman?
Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. I'd listen to that. Up and down. All right. So let's see. If you want to leave us...
Wow.
I don't even know what I meant by that, but leave a voicemail for us
fabulous.
on Skype. Username is Wood Talk Online. And you know what? I forgot to pay for our phone number. I don't know. Does anyone use the phone number? Or most people call us through Skype because I'm getting cheap. I may not pay for that anymore if no one uses it. So let me know.
It's like Matt Vanderlist. That's like his bat phone.
Yeah, that's true.
To get in touch with you.
Yep. All right, let's get to our email. So first one here from Jason Christensen. He says, what's the pros and cons of vertical versus horizontal lumber storage? And I feel like we've talked about this before, but I don't know if it's ever been a direct question. While it seems appropriate to attempt to rip on Mark, why does it seem appropriate to do that? That's what I want to know.
It's always appropriate.
It says, I was not able to find a good angle here. Mark, you need to start stickering your boards and with crazy expensive chisels so that we have more ammunition. Anyway, I have a bunch of 5/4 cherry for my trestle tabletop that has been broken down on the first stage of milling. Right now it's stickered and sitting on my garage floor. I'm hesitant to stack it vertically as I want to keep it as flat as possible, but this brings up a question. Am I thinking about this correctly? Is vertical worse than horizontal? Seems I've seen mixed opinions in the guild page and other online forums, and I'm also in the middle of organizing the shop and will soon be creating lumber storage rack. This question is coming up at a good time. Thanks, guys. So, this is just my opinion. I don't store my stuff vertically except for small cuts, things that are just like less than 4 feet, I would say, that fit literally below my rack. I think for most people, this is going to come down to your storage situation, your floor space situation. So if you think about vertical storage, it is stacked up against the wall, and you can have multiple layers of boards. You can fit quite a few in a fairly small footprint, but you are taking up floor space. So if floor space is a premium in your shop, but maybe you've got a little bit more wall space, or you've got good tall ceilings or something, to me, the wall hanging horizontal storage is probably going to be the best way for you to go. But let's say it was the opposite situation and I have tons of floor space. I might go vertical because I think vertical is easier to sort through the material to find what you're looking for. Think about like the board that's under 5 other boards at the top of a horizontal rack. That sucks.
Assuming you have the clearance. There's the other one.
Yeah.
I have 7.5 to 8 foot ceilings in my shop.
Right.
So there's not a lot of room to move around there.
Yep, exactly. So generally, if you do have that room vertically, you could just very easily move a board out, just like I do when I'm buying lumber at the lumber place. They have all the stuff just kind of stacked vertically, and I could move them around, pick out what looks good, and then put everything back when I'm done. So I think it's just kind of depends on your situation. The one thing I can't really speak to from experience is, does the board do anything if it's on that slight angle? And the one thing I will say is most people agree, you don't want these things directly on like untreated concrete. You don't want to because think about it, it's the end grain of the board, and if that's in contact with something that could potentially wick up moisture and pull that into the board. So if I were to have these things vertical, I would have probably a platform or something for them to sit on. But from, especially, Shannon, you obviously know a lot about the storage of this stuff. Are there detrimental effects to vertical storage for long-term purposes? Because my gut would say long-term, go horizontal just to be safe. But is there any real risk there?
I don't really think so. I mean, maybe if you stored it at like a really acute angle with no support underneath it, but now you're talking about huge amount of floor space,
Right.
But if you're stacking, you think about your Home Depot rack, there's a slight angled back to it, and they've just pushed all the boards up against it, and they're essentially dead stacked in there. So they're supported on a length, and that's what people are worried about. It's that cantilevered effect where you could get the bow in the middle from gravity pulling it down. I think that's really, really overstated. I think the only way that you're going to get any serious amount of distortion is, if you're not supporting the board like that,
right.
In which case, you're taking up half of your shop with this board that's extended 5 feet out from the wall and leaning up against the wall.
Yeah. Because most of the time it's almost perfectly vertical. Like if you're doing a small version of this at home, how far off from 90 is that board to begin with? Not very far.
Right. Well, and I think I've said this when we talked about it before, a lot of lumber when it's initially sawn is stored vertically. Usually in like an X formation. So you've got them leaning on their short edges and they're crossing one another in this X formation. And that's just causing gravity to drain out the unbound water. It's a great way to drain the stuff not in the cell walls, the free stuff, free water.
Water's free. Good news, everyone.
It falls at the bottom because the board is stored vertically. If it's stored horizontally, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to sit there and pool in the middle. But one of the primary reasons that lumber is stored horizontally is for space purposes. You think about it, when you put it in a kiln, if you stacked it all vertically, you'd have to have, first of all, a really, really tall kiln, but you also wouldn't be able to band it and kind of control the movement that happens in a kiln. You can't stack it or weight or anything like that when it's stored vertically. So it's stored in the kiln horizontally. If you put it on a truck to ship it somewhere, it's got to be stored horizontally. You can't have a bunch of vertical boards sitting on the back of your truck running down the highway at 65 miles an hour. Not without getting pulled over anyway, or getting, decapitated under bridges and such because you're 22-foot long board. So it gets stacked for transport. So then it shows up at your local lumber yard. What do you want them to do? Unband it and completely restack it vertically? No, they're going to stick it in the shelves horizontally. And then but go to most retail lumber yards and there'll be that little section kind of, off to the side where it's a bunch of boards stored vertically that have like been offcuts from other boards and things like that, and they've just stuck it over there in the corner. So I don't see any detrimental side effects.
Well, and that brings up a good point. When you do see a lumber place that has a self-serve area, they want it to be as easy as possible for you to get those boards in and out, and they're vertical.
Yeah,
so there's definitely something to be said for that. Well, cool. All right. I think that just about covers it. Who's next?
Oh boy, that's me.
Oh, yay!
Oh, this is from Brian. Do you have any issues with neighbor complaints? It looks like Matt has his giant bandsaw in view of his neighbors. Have you ever got noise or sawdust complaints? Do you do anything to keep them happy other than not working late? Great show. Hello from Houston, Brian. I guess you guys can jump in on this one too if you'd like.
Okay, here are my thoughts on it. Oh, sorry. Too soon?
You can go ahead. I don't care. You want to go first?
No, I'll let you go before I talk over you.
No, I have never had any noise complaints. Yes, my saw is in view of my neighbors. It's in view of the public park by my home. I've never gotten any noise or sawdust complaints, and I keep them happy because I'm not an a-hole.
Ah. But what if they're a-holes?
I'm really lucky. I don't really live next to any of those folks.
Yeah.
Everyone I live by is really nice, super, fun, and we're all kind of like friends. We have block parties in the summer.
That's good. That's important.
We look out for each other. A few times, I have a truck. People need to pick up furniture at a furniture store. Yes, I will go pick up their furniture with them.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but it's like I do neighborly favors. They want to borrow a circular saw or a drill.
A cup of slab.
I got those. Want to come borrow a cup of slab? Oh, I'll set you up with a cup of slab. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Hold on.
Yeah,
there it is.
Cup-o slab.
That's what you're saying. Well, yeah, be prepared to do favors. That's one thing when I moved into this neighborhood. It was like a clean slate. Nobody knows us. And if we want to be neighborly, fun, nice to know people, then we got to be willing to help them when the opportunity is there. You see the guy trying to wrestle a king-size mattress in his house, maybe offer to help him out. He'd be a lot less likely to call, I don't know, your HOA or whatever, if you're putting out too much noise or a little bit too much sawdust, How much, I'm curious, Matt, how much space do you generally have between homes in your neighborhood?
Let's see, 15 to 20 feet. About that probably.
Okay.
Between my house and my next door neighbor's house, like you see on my videos, it's 20 feet from my house to his garage.
So that's pretty close. So how loud is the bandsaw mill?
Quieter than my chainsaw, quieter than my lawnmower. It's still a noise generating thing, but the mill itself is, you're talking about like a minute and a half to 2 minutes of noise per cut. Mm-hmm. And if I were to do a whole big log, it's like
compared to 30 minutes of the chainsaw running.
Yeah. The chainsaw for a log, the logs I've been cutting would be like 15 minutes, full throttle chainsaw going nonstop for 15 minutes to make one cut. So that's 150 minutes. No, more than that. I'm sorry. That's way more than that. Whatever.
That's a long time.
225 minutes of full throttle chainsaw noise versus 20 minutes now of not as loud, but more spread out noise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 20 minutes of noise. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I can mow my lawn in a half hour and I still make more noise and more dust even than that.
That's good.
And it's cool.
It's cool.
There is the cool factor. People are like, hey, we got a sawmill in our neighborhood.
Is I don't know, people don't understand, my neighbors actually are impressed by it.
I believe that. That's kind of the situation we're in too. Everyone around me knows what I do, and not one of them has given me flack about it. They're just excited to have a woodworker in the neighborhood for whatever reason. They think it's cool that I make furniture.
Yeah, and I think if you get enough, I don't know, if you're friendly enough with your neighbors, you're actually friends with them. If they have a problem or you're doing something they don't want you to be doing at that moment, they'll come tell you because
you're comfortable enough.
I had a problem with a friend, I would just tell them I don't know what the issue would be, but I don't know. I'm sick. I'm trying to take a nap. Do you mind if you just use your sawmill some other day? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's never happened, but sure. I'll do
That's what
else.
friends do. It was like the other day. I texted Matt. I was like, look, man, I think we're close enough that I could tell you this. I hate you.
Yeah.
So there's that. Matt's losing it over
Finally,
here.
we're close enough to tell you.
I feel like we are close enough to let you know. I kind of hate you.
For years.
Good stuff.
Oh man, I'm gonna get that text now. I already know it.
Hold on, I'll do it right now while Shannon's talking.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see. This one comes from Matt. He says, "Can I finish cherry that has darkened over time, except where something was laying on it? I have a piece that I haven't had a chance to finish it, and I was using it as storage for some boxes. Now I have uneven aging due to the boxes. Should I sand everything again, or will it all balance out underneath the finish? P.S. No idea what I want to use for a finish." I picked this question because I've been in this exact situation, seeing how slowly I work and my penchant for not finishing things until like I've got 7 or 8 pieces piled up. So I've had many a cherry piece that for one reason or another, there's been, part of it's in direct sunlight during the day, the rest of it's not. And certainly cherry is a great example of this, where it'll darken to that kind of brown color and you may still have the pink light color on the other side. I say take the whole piece, stick it in the sun. You would be surprised what an afternoon of sunshine will do. Like, a couple hours will probably even that out. Second of all, it's going to continue to even out underneath the finish. So it's not like when you put the finish on, there's not going to be any more color change. Oh, we'll absolutely continue to change color. But personally, when it comes to cherry, I like to tan it anyway before I put finish on. Or some people will put like a boiled linseed oil and stick it in the sun. I don't know if that's supposed to speed it up or not, or just gets it deep in and moisturizes the wood so it doesn't dry
Nourishes the wood from inside.
I don't even know, depending on the finish you use, depending on how many solids, the solid content of the finish, whether the finish is even going to retard the changing of the color. Like if you put a gloss finish on there, you might get some reflection or whatever, but you're still going to get a color change. So I say stick it out in the sun for the afternoon. You might be shocked at just how quickly that will even out. But, don't worry about it. It's going to even out anyway over time. There's no reason to sand everything back if it's already finished ready. Now, if it's been sitting around long enough, you might want to do a little touch up anyway, because you never know what might have settled onto the surface, and you got dead bud parts and, random dust that's been there so long that it's actually like stuck to the surface on a nice gritty film. So you might want to do that anyway, in which case the whole thing's a moot point.
Moot. I'm going to take a slightly different perspective on that. I would recommend sanding it. If he's already worried about it, he's going to be like painfully aware of any difference. And from my experience, that difference, because you're right, it will eventually over time get there. But as the wood keeps aging, they're both aging at the same rate, but they're at different stages in that aging process. So they will still look different for a very long time. There's a mahogany table that I had a monitor sitting on, and then we moved the monitors to different positions, and that was years ago. This is the mahogany gaming table that I made, that like weird trestle table looking thing, and I could go in there right now, and it's been sitting in front of a window, since we moved here, and was in front of a window back at the other house as well, and you could still see the outline of the monitor's base. It's faint, but it's there. So it's weird. It does take, at least from my experience, it does take a long time for them to catch up enough that you aren't going to notice it anymore. So if it's not going to put you out too much to sand that surface first, just do it. Get it over with, and then at least you don't have to think about it anymore. So
Whatever.
I'm just a different opinion. That's all.
Guys.
I'm not contradicting you. I'm saying
That's why I say stick it in direct sunlight, like especially this time of year,
Yeah.
as things start to get warmer and the axial tilt of the Earth in the northern hemisphere.
See, now he's
makes
just going to
for-
use big words to make his answer sound
Yeah.
better than
Right.
mine.
Damn it.
Why do we have to
Spicy.
bring the axial
Axial is
tilt
so
of the
big.
Earth?
That's a big word.
Yeah, well,
A big concept. Okay.
Take advantage of your 23.5 degree tilt.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. All right. So do we have any questions from the chat room we want to answer? Anyone see anything? We did a few already, so we said we would.
I have been watching, honestly.
So they're not saying anything interesting? Nice job, guys, in the chat room.
I didn't even pull it up.
You guys stink.
I did, and there didn't seem like there was any, but
In the beginning there were, but okay. Anyway, not interesting to people listening at home, that's for sure. So if you want to stick around for the email extra, $4 and higher patrons over at patreon.com/woodtalk will have, I just lost my train of thought for a second. Sorry. We'll have access to, let's see, what is the topic that we're talking about today? I put it down there earlier. Using unconventional things, repurposing things for the shop is going to be our topic. So you can check that out over on Patreon, patreon.com/woodtalk. And if you want to support us through other means, we have t-shirts available at twwstore.com. And you can also leave us a review on iTunes. Just look us up in the store, and I'll actually read one here. I've got it all prepped. Let's see. Pyromaniac Midget says, must be good. I've listened to all 370 or so podcasts through multiple mats, adding a Shannon, losing some of the great bits along the way. Still love it and look forward to each and every episode, but I wish they still had the lady with the sexy, silky voice doing her bit every week. Yeah, we talked about Carrie in the 10-year anniversary show. We miss her too, but she's off doing other things. She's got a life, you know. What are you going to do? All right. Shannon, contact info, please.
We have some of that.
Yay.
Available for free. Free contact info for everyone.
Yay!
If you need to contact us for info or to give info, there are several different ways to do that. Leave us a voicemail on Skype. Our username is Wood Talk Online. You can call us, maybe, depends whether or not Mark paid the bill. It's 623-242-5180. Or just go to woodtalkshow.com/contact, and there's a little fancy form there that sends stuff into a spreadsheet that we occasionally read, which is good. Or, why didn't this get carried over from last week?
I don't know.
woodtalkonline at gmail.com is our email address.
Okay.
I swear I put that in the notes last week.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah, it's Matt's fault.
Matt's
It's his
copy and
job.
pasting from
It's
old.
his only job, and you screwed it up.
Oh, guys, I can hear the Capex cutting right now.
I didn't duplicate last week's show notes because it broke format.
Oh, that's right. Good point.
Always have excuses, don't you, Matt?
He does have a good point.
This one time I actually have a decent excuse.
You and your generation is what's wrong with this country.
That's right. Lazy.
Enough said.
I can't help it. It's my generation.
All right.
My upbringing.
So, if you want to check out our other stuff, you can go to woodwhisper.com, renaissancewoodworker.com, and mattsfault.com.
Yes.
It's mattsfault.com.
And
That was
also,
last year.
Shannon wants to let you know that the axial tilt is the angle between the planet's rotational axis at its north pole and line perpendicular to the orbital plane of the planet. That is all. It's very important
I know where
information.
you were reading that from.
Wikipedia, baby.
It's
All right.
compulsory.
Oh, fun stuff. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you next time.
See you, bye.
Goodbye.
I owe you 23.5-degree tilters.
All right. Do you want to skip to the weekend show and keep the live thing going? That seems like a good way to do it.
I should probably read this, huh?
Yeah.
I started to select this as my question, and I was like, I should check, because this seems like a good
Yeah, this one was broad enough. I'm like,
weekend show.
yeah, I want to hear what everybody else has to say on this too. Let me read it again because I forgot. Okay, what do you do out of town?
I don't go out of town.
I don't go anywhere. I'm a loser.
There you go.
Why is Mark so small? Someone said in the chat room. I don't know. I've been asking myself that my whole life. It's because of the axial tilt of the planets and its rotational axis.
So you're saying if you were at the Tropic of Capricorn or the Tropic of Cancer, you would be taller?
I would be taller. I absolutely would. Okay. Okay. What are we doing here? 373 extra. Nope, 374. Weekend show. All right. Where you at? Dude, this new dog must have been really just mistreated, and it makes me really sad
that's
for
bad.
him. You put the food down, and he eats it like there's immediately someone there who's going to steal it from him. So he kind of like dives in and it goes around and like looks around the room and it dives in again. It's like, oh, dude, you got to settle down. Like no one's
Kenny
going to
did
take
that.
no one's going to take your food, pal. You know, he's really, really uptight.
Kenny was like, I think we timed it one time, and it was like 20 seconds
Yeah.
from like beginning to end.
Yep.
I was like,
Right.
get anywhere near him, and you're gonna lose a finger.
Yep.
Yeah, he mellowed over time when he realized no one was gonna take his food.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm feeding him
But he
separately.
was a brand new puppy, so I don't know how old Tormund is.
Yeah, he's got some bad
He's
habits.
set in his ways.
Yeah,
He's old.
Got to break him. He's actually pretty young. He's actually like 3 years old. But it's funny though. The more he has these little nuances and things, the more we want the challenge of fixing him because he's a sweet dog. He just has these little peculiarities that we need to fix, if possible. Okay, it's a weekend show, y'all. That looks good. Here we go.
Welcome to the Wood Talk Weekend Show. It's time to unbutton those pants, crack open a fresh grape soda, and let the soothing sounds of Mark, Shannon, and Matt caress your ear holes.
All right, it's Wood Talk number 374 for April 14th, 2017. It's one day before my birthday. Hey, wait a minute. Isn't April 14th Vanderlist's birthday? I know he's one day apart from me, so it's either the 14th or the 16th. I think it's
I thought it
before
was
me.
one day before.
That's what I
forgot.
thought too. Well, happy birthday, Vanderlist. We're thinking of you.
Mark is. I'm not.
Well, I was for a second. Now I'm not. Now I'm thinking about what's the next thing.
Moved on. I'm thinking about barbecue now because you brought up Matt, and that just leads me to barbecue.
Did you guys see his last week of like Instagram posts and everything? It's been nothing but barbecue.
That's why I hate Matt right now.
Yeah, he went on a
Delicious.
barbecue tour with his son. That's awesome. All right, what's that have to do with our show? Nothing. So Darth Rust wrote in, and he says, I went downstairs to my shop this morning, hoping to get a jump on a few small projects over the weekend. Along the way, I discovered two things. My shop is 6,571 miles away, perhaps more by the time you read this, and my hotel room doesn't have a downstairs, which is a tale for another time. That said, while I'm overseas for the rest of the year, what are some good ways to stay engaged in the craft, perhaps even be productive? I've bought SketchUp and Honeydew List, a couple of books from Lost Art Press that I plan on reading in fine detail. I get the usual suspects of digital magazines, and I keep up on the podcasts and webcasts when time allows. It's a remote region, and as of yet, no identifiable local guilds or clubs or trees for that fact. So here's your chance to shine, smart people. What else can be done to exploit the out-of-shop time that I found? And stop calling me Shirley. So, the funny thing about this is if you just kind of look at this from a broad view, prior to like the last 15 to 20 years of the, age of online information, the amount of stuff he just mentioned that he has access to keep him busy while he's out of town
Quit your whining.
is pretty flippin' substantial, right? Because otherwise, take us back maybe 15, 20 years. What's the best you could do? Maybe take like a Tay Frid book with you and your latest black and white issue of Fine Woodworking magazine. and that might just be about it. So he's got a pretty good selection of things that's going to make him still feel connected. Any current events, stuff going on, listening to podcasts will help him keep up with that. Watching shows on YouTube and just seeing what people are up to in their shops. That in and of itself is just a huge amount of stuff for you to kind of feel connected while you're out of town. So I guess the question is there anything else that someone could do?
Well, I've run into this a couple times where like I've gone on vacation and like if we go up to my in-laws place in Maine, there's not a lot to do up there, which is one of the things that's nice because you can actually just go and chill. But invariably I'll get up there a couple days and I'm like, I miss my shop. I wish I had my shop. Yeah. So then like the next year I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring some wood and my carving gouges. And I actually took up wood carving while I was in Maine, with a board clamped to the railing of the deck. And just, went through some kind of practice exercises. I had a wood carving book and, made like a, like a Queen Anne fan, tried some chip carving a little bit. That was the type of thing where I could literally sit with the board in my lap and a chip carving knife and make some random stuff. A couple years later, I carved my very first spoon, a knife and a piece of green wood, it's okay. He says there are no trees around, but there's gotta be something, or
maybe he's going to like the Middle East or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Might not be a whole lot of wood.
So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some way to get wood. You can buy wood on Amazon now, right? Sure you can. But that's what I did. I found ways to take woodworking with me in a small tool roll with a couple of carving gouges, or even smaller, like 3 chip carving knives at most, or just like a Sloyd knife and maybe a hook knife, and you can carve spoons. And just kind of, I don't know, whittle. Tap into your inner old man on the porch in the rocking chair and whittle away. And it was a lot of fun. I don't think I would have gotten into carving at all in my own shop because there's too many distractions. You know, I'll get to that later. I'll take that to the next project. And, this was just an opportunity to sit down and work through some exercises with a couple of chisels, and so much fun.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. What would you do, Matt?
I was gonna say kind of the same thing. Try and do something small.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't.
He's stealing your answer.
You're such a poser.
Okay, I was gonna say something. I was gonna say, too bad you got nothing you can do.
You were going to say, build a bandsaw mill, you jerk.
There's trees. Just saw them up.
Just cut them down.
Got to be
Just
trees
cut
there.
'em down
Find
and cut
them.
'em up.
Yeah, the one tree in that town. Go ahead, chop it down.
You could get into refinishing furniture.
Ooh, that's actually a good idea.
Sure.
Boom.
Idea
Take that,
done.
Shannon.
There's
my idea.
probably all kinds of fun chemicals we're not allowed to use here in the U.S. that you could get abroad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank because part of my problem is if I go on vacation, I take a break from woodworking. And a lot of times, here's one thing he could do. And this is something I do while I'm on vacation. Regardless of where you are, chances are they have furniture. So while you're out there, do your best to find local resources or local buildings, public buildings that you might be able to go to look at furniture and just see what's out there. You might be able to learn or get inspired on new projects by seeing a completely different culture's take on this stuff and actually seeing this stuff in use and not just in Google Images. That might be something that could be a productive use of your time while you're out there.
Yeah. Now, I've always said that SketchUp is the woodworking video game, so I think he could do quite a bit with his SketchUp.
Yeah, rip through some designs and get some plans going. That's something I do when I'm not in the shop. I will think about. Usually not. I mean, if I'm in the middle of a project, I might sit there and just kind of daydream and just, spitball ideas in my head about the project. But a lot of times the stuff I find the most fun is shop improvement things. I tend to dwell on just in my brain when I'm falling asleep and things like that. So that's probably something I would do, how to make my shop more efficient. Thinking about things like that while I'm out of town as well. Cool. Well, that's pretty good question there, Darth Rust. Appreciate it, and good luck. Stay safe wherever you happen to be, where there happen to be no trees. Sounds like a sucky place, frankly. I like trees. But enjoy yourself, stay safe, and we will call you surely as much as we please. And Shannon, you want to do contact info for the weekend or no?
I don't know. I think we
Should
normally
we?
do.
We do sometimes.
I don't know. If you are somewhere where there are no trees, we will feel sorry for you. And you can call us and tell us about this place that has no trees, and we can suggest you to do other things like sand art. Different colors of sand art. That's always a good way to do it. So if you want to tell us about that, you can call us on Skype. Wood Talk Online is our username. You can call us at 623-242-5180, or you can write us at woodtalkshow.com/contact. That's enough.
Yeah, that it is. And Hernan C says, I'm a patron, but I don't think that they are checking it anyway. I think he's talking about the checking the chat. So there, we are checking the chat. We're looking at it. Whether you think we are or not. Caught you, sir.
Boom.
All right. I think that just about does it. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the weekend show, and we will catch you next time.
Bye. Happy sand arting.
Matt sounds like he's a mile away. Bye.
I get away quickly,
Yes. All right. Let's do that email extra. Okay,
Bye,
chat room. We will see you guys later. We're going to do the email extra, which means you got to go away. It's just the way it is.
Goodbye to all you.
Adios.
Chat room. You bother me.
You don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. All right,
Grease
let's
soda.